Alright guys, how is it going? How are things with you? Good to see you. I'm back. Kind of feel like I wish I was further along into my alphabetical CD collection. I've been fucking stuck in the D's. For what seems like months. I'm not doing, collection updates anymore, even though I'm still buying a lot of shit. So I kind of just felt like I'm trudging along here, doing my CDs alphabetically. We're only in the fucking end of the D's. My man Justin Stubbs is like 25 videos in, and he's in the like H's or something. Obviously I've got a lot more shit than he does, but I just feel like, God, I need to make some traction. And I think some of you guys, some of my most loyal subscribers, like, this is the bread and butter of my channel that you like the most. I'm kind of indifferent about it. This is just like, I guess, if I have no other ideas for a video to do, this is what I do. And the idea was that I would take a really long time to get through my CDs. I didn't, I guess, realize it would take 7 fucking years or whatnot. But I would get through my CDs, and by the time I got somewhere towards the end of my CDs, I would start my LP videos, and by that time I would have, I don't know, 10,000 subscribers or something, 5,000, I don't know. It's been pretty great growth so far, but I just kind of wish I was trudging along a little bit further through them. By the way, before I get too verbose, we're listening to Merkaba, Bones of the Sacred Forest. This is an album that my buddy and I released on Pagan Flames Productions. You cannot get a CD copy of this. I wish you could. It just kind of never really worked out that way. This is just kind of like a test press kind of deal where we ran off 5 copies of the CDR and we never followed through. Around this time, we never thought that people would buy a CD version of it. Maybe we ought to rethink that, but there are still LP copies of this sitting around, and this has been released now for 6 years, maybe, or so. So the LP version was limited to like 300 copies, and there are still copies available. It is a phenomenal album. What I love about it, God, it's so fucking good. If you'll remember, maybe the first time you heard Wolves in the Throne Room's 2 Hunters, there's moments of just absolute fucking transcendence, and it feels so chilling, and just like you get this fucking rush when you focus in on how meditative the songs are. And so this is their only album. These guys were out of Kentucky, and they're no longer together, but God, they were just a fucking a force to be reckoned with. I did all the artwork and layout on this guy, on the LP and the CD. So check that out. If you want to get a copy of the LP, Pagan Flames has it, probably like $16, $13 or something like that. I believe maybe even free shipping, so you can't really get much better than that. So back to the alphabetical. I kind of, in the past, before I prepared for doing one of these videos, I've looked through the stack that I'm going to do a couple days ahead of time and thought like, okay, what would I say about that? What would I say about that? If I don't know what I would say about an album and it's been a couple of years since I've listened to one of these, I'll go ahead and throw it in, listen to it, and come up with something to say about it. And that way I'm a little less off the cuff. But honestly, since I enjoy Justin Stubbs' videos so much, so off the cuff, and I don't mind when he comes across an album and he's like, I don't know what this is, I'm gonna have to get familiar with it again. Let's be honest, that's pretty fucking likely to happen when you've got 3,000 CDs. So this stack will be the first stack in which I haven't really done any prerequisite studying at all. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to, tell you what they're like or whatnot. So, anyways, first off, we've got Doom Snake Cult with LSD, which is Love, Sorrow, Doom. Nuclear War Now Productions reissued this pretty recently, with the different album covers. So you might not recognize this if you have heard of Doom Snake Cult. But I collect JL America releases, and this is originally a JL America release. Came out in 1992. This is just kind of a weird, just a real oddball kind of weird release. And I played this in one of my videos a couple of months ago, so you may recognize it from that too. But I don't know, it's charming, but it's also kind of forgettable in a lot of ways. It is kind of a Doom record, but it's kind of generic in some ways. But it also kind of has its feet in maybe kind of like a 90s rock kind of thing, like a grunge sort of feel. I almost say maybe that one of the musicians was maybe in kind of a more Seattle kind of rock band. I do think that one of the guys from Goat Lord was in this band. We've got, vocals Ace. That is the... Man, that guy really went out with a bang a couple years ago. And the other guys, I'm not sure. There's Nelg, I'm sure that's some guy named Glenn, and Schwabby and Gore. So I don't know who else is in this band, but this is, they thank White Zombie. And this came out in like 92. So I don't know, there just really wasn't a precedent for this style of kind of stonery doom metal back in 1992. So it is a little bit innovative in some ways, and it's kind of charming. It's worth owning. This was actually given to me by my buddy Tanner, and I do like it. I listen to it from time to time. It's just really kind of ostentatious, and it's just kind of out there, not able to be pigeonholed, I guess I could say. So next we've got Dornenreich with Herr von Welken Nachten. I picked this up a couple of months ago at Earwax Records. Having maybe heard an album or two from them and kind of just been like, not really my thing. But a couple of buddies, I think Mitch mentioned recently, and also Andrew, if you're watching my videos, I'm very honored. A couple friends have recently said that, like, this is one of their top 10 records of all time, and like, I don't know, it's one of those records where you can't really put your finger on what's wrong with it. There isn't necessarily anything wrong with it. It's just not really all that palatable to me. It's not the kind of thing that I usually like. It's kind of pagan sounding. It's got a lot of flutes and violins and stuff like that, and like, I don't mind that kind of shit at all. I think it's great. I just have not really ever been able to really get into this band or this album. There's also just, I had to really come to terms with the truth here, was that something about the German language, when it's sung in a certain way, it just really bothers me. It just sounds too mouthy or toothy or something. It just sounds like it isn't really coming off the tongue or something. I'm not sure. I couldn't really put it into words too well, but I just realized upon listening to this for maybe a third or fourth time or so, I was just like, God, the music is wonderful. It's beautiful and ornate and melodic, but having someone sing German in both clean and raspy vocals just really kind of gets in the way of me being able to enjoy that more melodic and beautiful music. This album by Merkaba has such awesome, just clean build-ups. It's just so fucking massive. I really hope you check this out. Next we've got a band called Download. Not metal whatsoever. I've got 5 albums by them. And I had a period back in, I don't know, 99, 2000 or so. A friend of mine, a couple friends of mine, were way into electronic music. I got them kind of into metal, and they got me into some electronic stuff. I really went nuts for Skinny Puppy, and one of the members of Skinny Puppy, I want to say it's Kevin Key, does this solo project, Download. I was also pretty into Dead Voices on Air, which maybe we covered Piss Frond a couple of months ago, or maybe I don't even have that anymore. I don't know. But I was really into a couple of these albums. Eric Bauer mentioned this one, Furnace, in one of his videos a long time ago, and that kind of made me put it on and give it another listen. And it didn't really do as much for me as The Eyes of Stanley Payne did. There are some moments on this record that are just so alien and so fascinating. And it is that alien sort of personality that electronic music conveys that makes me feel so at home, I guess, in some of that kind of stuff. And Skinny Puppy, just like the institution of Skinny Puppy, are one of those absolutely essential acts who are able to invoke or convoke that kind of just gnarled, otherworldly sort of electronic, ghostly kind of beast that feels familiar to who I am as a person. And there's metal bands who kind of do that for me, like Dotheim's Guard. That avant-garde sort of dissonant kind of stuff really does it for me. But there are some albums on The Eyes of Stanley, there are some moments on The Eyes of Stanley Payne that just truly put chills down my spine. This one is 3. I think it's called 3. Love the artwork on this one. Also a digibook. So these all came out, I want to say, between maybe like 93 and 99 or so. So that's 3. There's also Charlie's Family. Really generic artwork on this one. I kind of don't like the artwork on it, but this is some great stuff too. Metropolis put this one out. But there are some real highlights on all 3 of those albums that are just game changers for me. This one is called Effector. This one also kind of, I'm not so hot on this one either. There's Kevin Key. Skinny Puppy wound up breaking up kind of in several different times, but Kevin Ogre died in 94 or 95 or so, and then they did that album, not Rabies, but The Process, which was fantastic. Anyways, next we've got Draconis with Overlords of the Graying Dawn. One of the few worthwhile bands out of California, I'll go ahead and say that. Dark Realm Records put this out. This is the label and store run by the dude from Citizen Intent. It's been a while since I put this on, but this is some really, really just fucking mighty black metal. It's not like it's one of those black metal bands where I feel like a lot of death metal fans would actually kind of get into, because it's just got a lot of fucking might to it, power. But this is, you know, totally witchy. Lots of dragons, wizards, shit like that. Got song titles all over the place on the back here. Look at all those words. But yeah, it's kind of melodic. It's got synthesizer. It's brutal. It's fast. It's kind of generic, but it is pretty well written. It's really super well played. I remember just like being really impressed by the performance of this recording. I did pay quite a bit for this son of a bitch on eBay many years ago, but yeah, it's pretty good. So now we've got Dragon Force. I'm sure you've all heard Dragon Force. I discovered Dragon Force one night. I'll never forget it. I can't remember how I actually found them. I want to say like I was in a total mood for Blind Guardian or something, and I had been smoking a bunch of weed, and some website or whatever suggested I check out Dragon Force. Now this is maybe their debut. This is back in probably 2002 or 3 or something, so 16 years ago. And so I had downloaded, maybe it was this album, maybe it was another one, I don't know, but I was blasted out of my gourd, and I had some friends over, they left, and I just came back to my computer, put on my headphones, and listened to this Dragon Force album, and it fucking annihilated me. I could not fucking believe how fast it was, how melodic it was, how catchy it was. It was like the most hedonistic power metal I had ever heard. It was like Blind Guardian times 100. I'll never fucking forget how, like, I was literally going like, ha! I can't fucking believe what I'm hearing. It was so good. It turns out I had actually heard these guys back when they were called Dragon something else. They had an EP before they changed their name that was a lot more down to earth, not so speedy, not so hyper, and it was really, really just solid power metal. But here they just fucking turned it up to 11 and blew me the fuck away. Now, they never stopped taking it to the next fucking level, and they really should have stopped it probably right after this record. I'm still not sure. I want to say there was another record that I like a little bit more than this one or something. Because, like, the very next day, I went to Barnes & Noble and I ordered this fucking thing. I might have ordered another album, too, by these guys. And loved it. So, but, you know, the fame that these guys have enjoyed since then has just kind of really ruined it for me. I haven't gone back and listened to this album probably in 12 years or so. But at that time, when I first heard Dragon Force, I'll never fucking forget how insanely exhilarating it was to just fucking listen to that. Just like someone, like, I thought I had known what power metal was doing at that moment, and they just completely disregarded all that and said, fuck that, let's just turn it twice as fucking fast and blow everyone's goddamn minds. And they fucking pulled it off. I still hold by that. If this isn't their debut, there's some moments early on in the discography of Dragon Force where they fucking nailed that shit to the cross without question. So next, we've got Dropsnot. This is, I think, their first album with Ideneskog. Frost Scald put this one out. This is really fucking awesome. Pagan sounding, kind of folky black metal from Sweden. Really, really, really excellent stuff. These guys sound kind of a lot like Enslaved. They have a lot of influences from Ulver. You know, just really, really great influences, and they're doing it really, really well. There's just a lot of bands doing kind of the same thing, and this kind of area, this genre, is really clouded with a lot of guys who are kind of making mediocre stuff. But Dropsnot kind of gets lost in the mix, I feel, but they're really, really worth your time. This, I think, is their second album, Himner till Undergangen, and this is also on Frostskald. I want to say this one is even a little bit better than the debut. Now, after this one, they got picked up by Nordvis, I think it is, and they may have put out 1, 2, maybe even 3 albums since then that I've been meaning to pick up. I haven't really kept up with Dropsnot all that well. They are really, really good. So next here we've got one of the most obscure fucking releases in my collection. This is Drastus. I don't know much about these guys, but this son of a bitch, I almost wish I didn't own a copy of this. It's a pretty good album. I actually listened to it a couple months ago. The CD is all black. All the artwork is black. If you squint really, really, really well, you can kind of see some artwork on there. The booklet is pretty much all black. You can't read a fucking thing on this thing. So this thing gets lost in my CDs very regularly. So that is Drastus. It's just really, really nasty black metal, and they really should have done a better job at packaging on this thing, because no one who owns this knows what this is called or can read anything on it. I've got 2 lights right now shine on me. No, I don't. I actually fucked that up. There we go. And no one can read this fucking thing. So next, let's get down with some Drownim. Pretty new to this band. Somebody on my channel maybe 2 years ago or so recommended this to me in the comments section, and I usually try and check out everything that you guys tell me about. It doesn't usually go so well, but this one really impressed me, and I wound up picking this up on Amazon. Debemer Morty put this out 2014 or so, I would say. You don't see those black CDs very often. But this is some really, really great stuff. It had some kind of moments reminding me of Amon Amarth, but I fucking hate Amon Amarth. Just like if Amon Amarth was a lot more evil sounding and a lot more dark and just nasty. Amon Amarth do a great job of having this like undeniable melodicism to them, and they can't not write a melodic riff to save their life. But I feel like it just always sounds cheesy. It always sounds too easy to swallow, too safe. And these guys, I think, kind of take that sort of style, but it sounds really fucking harsh and nasty. I kind of liked it. I don't listen to it very often, but there for a while, when I first checked it out, thanks to one of you guys, I was really, really into this. It's pretty good. It needs to get another spin. Last one in this round, we've got Draugurin, also related to Nordvis. This came out on Le Crépuscule du Soir Productions. I believe we got this in a trade many, many years ago. I had 2 different albums by Draugurin from that trade, and I don't remember what happened to the other one. I may have gotten rid of it. I don't really like this band. Although, having said that, I've only heard the 2 albums that I did have. I don't know where the other one would have gone. It's okay. It's just kind of like that meditative, kind of spiritual, kind of ambient, acoustic sort of stuff. And that stuff, for me, it doesn't usually hit the mark. When it does, something like Thorndom is really, really good. There's a couple of records that do that for me, and when I need something to do that for me, I reach only for those records, and I'm not really all that interested in hearing a lot of new bands or groups or people do that kind of thing. Just the kind of stuff is usually kind of lost on me. So I kind of feel like I don't have a lot of room to criticize it, but this just kind of really didn't do a lot for me. But I own it already. I should probably refamiliarize myself with it and see what it's all about. And if I don't like it, maybe get rid of it. So that's it for this round. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk about all these albums in the comments below. Check out Merkaba. Just because it's a label that my buddy runs doesn't mean talking about it. It is a phenomenal fucking release. And I really, really miss these guys. It's been a long time since I put this on, so having it on in the background is kind of hard to talk while it's playing. Anyways, we'll see you next time. Take care.